This is a movie with Richard Pryor. When I heard about this movie, I was under the impression that it was a Richard Pryor movie. And yes, he's in it, but I was under the impression that he was the main character. He is not the main character. He is a supporting role, but that's okay. This movie was pretty good, actually. I liked it much more than Wee Willie Winky. So, Wild in the Streets is what this is called. Both movies, I realize, start with W. Interesting. But yeah, thanks for being here, anybody who is here, or who was here for any amount of time. I do appreciate it. Wild in the Streets. I'm writing it down here. I'm so close. One more word. That means streets. Okay. Yeah, but it starts off, and you can tell that this was sort of experimental. Some of the shots and the editing in this film. And some of it worked maybe, but some of it didn't. But at least they were trying stuff, So I didn't mind that. There was some weird editing and trippy drug visuals and stuff. And again, this one is also for free on YouTube, just like Wee Willie Winky. If you're interested in watching Wee Willie Winky, or Wild in the Streets, which is this one that we talking about. I don't know why I did lowercase t's for the last word, but I did, and it's something we all have to live with. But let's keep it moving. Last film, Wild in the Streets. So basically, I'm going to talk about the plot extremely basically. So, there's a rock band. This main character, Max Frost, super charismatic leader of this rock band, and he becomes so famous and influential that he eventually becomes president, and his whole philosophy is that old people suck and that young people are good. This is political satire, I guess. This movie was made in the 60s, so I think that the people were sort of thinking, youth have such influence. They have so much influence over voting and stuff. Like, what would happen if they all banded together in the most ridiculous possible way, in the most exaggerated way? What would happen? That's what I feel like how this movie came to be. But it was kind of fun. They even go so as far as putting old people into basically concentration camps at the end of the film, which it sort of takes a dark turn in that way, but it's also kind of funny because it's so ridiculous that I don't think that would ever happen. But sort of spooky in a way too, sort of creepy. I liked it. I like this movie though. Yeah, Richard Pryor's in it. He's one of the members of the band. Everybody's okay, and the acting's not terrible from my understanding. But yeah, like I said, there's lots of crazy editing. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I'm gonna look up this movie, Wild in the Streets, on Wikipedia here. See what it can tell me. There's a few Wild in the Streets things. Film. I want the film. Oh, here it is. Yes, indeed. Okay, so it was the year 1968. I was right about this one. So, okay, this movie made some money. $700,000 budget, and it made $4 million. That's pretty fucking good. Especially in the 60s, hey? That's kind of like a hit. Not a bad film. I definitely, like I said, I definitely enjoyed this more than the other film I reviewed this week, which was Wee Willie Winky, and yeah, this is just more up my speed. I like sort of political commentary films, and that's definitely what this was. And a big part of it is that the band wants the voting age lowered to 14, and that eventually even happens. And they get in fights with the older politicians. That's a reoccurring theme. You know, things aren't done perfectly. I'm not going to point out like exact flaws like I usually do. I'm going to again try to get through these relatively quick so we can get back to music and maybe get the party going back in here in the chat or whatever. But no, I do like talking about movies though. So this movie kind of, it's not perfect, but it's fun. It's a lot. I think I had a lot of fun with it. It's and it was even marketed as, like, I'm reading quite possibly the most unusual motion picture you will ever see. It was marketed right on the poster. It's funny. It has quite a big blurb on it. But yeah, on the poster, which is kind of weird because you don't see that now. Now it's just like one big image on movie posters. But yeah, they used to have like quite a lot of words on there. But yeah, I like this. I think we're gonna move on though. Richard Pryor is in this, like I said. Let's look at the rest of the cast. Shelley Winters is the mom. There's a part where they're making LSD at the beginning of the movie, and it comes back into it. LSD is actually a big part of the film, and like it was the 60s, so people were probably talking about it a lot too. But yeah, this film was fun. I had fun with this film. They definitely experimented with the editing and how some shots looked and stuff. So I appreciate that. Like I said, it didn't always work. And this movie wasn't perfect, but I generally liked it. So let's, you know what, I'm calling it. I don't have much else to say. I'm trying to keep these reviews sort of short. Let's end it. I'm gonna rate it. And I would recommend this generally if you want like a sort of trippy, drug, political satire movie, if that's a genre. But it was kind of fun, a little bit different. I can't think of a movie quite like this. I wouldn't say it's the most unusual motion picture that I've ever seen, but maybe in 1968 it would have been, you know, who knows. But yeah, I'm gonna give this a rating. But first, put on a music. Here is a beat from Turn Up Music SK. Yeah, 7 out of 10. I think it's fair. You know, it's not perfect. It's all right. It was fun. I had fun with it, but it wasn't like extraordinary. 7 out of 10. What's I feel? Wild in the Streets, baby. 7 out of 10.